Oh, I know I'm going to get in trouble for this one, so here goes. I can't imagine that either Elon Musk or Donald Trump has ever had that was consensual on the part of the woman, that they did not have to pay money for, or gifts. Ever. Have a great day.
Did you ever worry they would try and put you in jail?
Yes, I don't know if this lady is okay. She's crazy, right? I don't know really how much I dislike her. When I look at this video she put out, like, I don't know if someone has ever, to me it's really insane for someone to light up the camera and sit in front to say these ridiculous things. This is the kind of content they put on social media. Now going into something else, this lady on CNN was shot down. I don't know if you've seen it, extremely concerning. Before we go into that clip, first take a look at this.
Over the weekend, President Trump said that he would be willing to have U.S. citizens deported to El Salvador with the cooperation of President Bukele. How would that work legally, and how many people would potentially be available for that operation?
So the president has discussed this idea quite a few times publicly. He's also discussed it privately. You're referring to the president's idea for American citizens to potentially be deported. These would be heinous, violent criminals who have broken our nation's laws repeatedly, and these are violent repeat offenders in American streets. The president has said if it's legal, right, if there is a legal pathway to do that. He's not sure. We are not sure if there is. It's an idea that he has simply floated and has discussed very publicly as in the effort of transparency.
Yes, when you take a look at this, President Trump has multiple members of his administration take turns ripping CNN Kaitlin Collins after she asked why an alleged MS-13 member was deported. Pam Bondi responded to this question. I know she didn't like that.
First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country. Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States and had to be returned because of the full designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to keep a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador, who again is a member of MS-13. I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to not suggesting that I'll smuggle to the United States. How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle this to the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
You're releasing inside of Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of it into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murderer of the world. No, that's not going to happen.
Yes, if I can recall, the Supreme Court ordered this, that this guy should be returned. But from the story I'm seeing to this, things have changed. I didn't even know that this guy was like this. I've seen liberals like The View going off on the Trump administration, like, oh, this, that. I've seen that every single day. Now, this man is making it clear I can't do that. It is like I'm bringing in this kind of person into the United States. See the story, it has changed. And is now I'm even finding out that he's a citizen in this country. Very complicated, right? This has been something Democrats are demonstrating on the street recently.
Thanks to Trump's deportation policy, there are people who've been shipped off to a hellhole prison in El Salvador without what they call due process.
That people who are not criminals are getting, like, lassoed up and deported and sent to, like, El Salvador prisons.
I think a human being being plucked out of nowhere and ending up in a country he's never been in a maximum security prison with gang members, seems like a bad thing to happen to me.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
I don't think that should be controversial.
No, that's not controversial at all.
Oh. The White House press secretary has called one of these deportation mistakes a quote-unquote clerical error. Well, if it's a clerical error, then bring them back.
Right.
Is this the immigration policy people thought they were voting for?
I don't believe so. So listen, the status quo of doing nothing and allowing just limitless undocumented migration to this country was unsustainable. People voted to have the border secured, but then they wanted to primarily deal with people who were undocumented and committed crimes in this country. 80% of Americans support that. This whole table supports that. But there is a key element that is involved here. Due process. You cannot simply look at somebody and say, well, I think they're a criminal, or there may be allegations. We have a system in this country where you would put the people before a judge, they have their day in court to make their case. And on top of that, I would add, they should be returned to their country of origin, not a third-party country that they have no connection to, no relatives in a jail there. Let their home country decide if they're going to be jailed and give them that process. But sending them somewhere they've never lived is honestly horrifying. And if one person slips through the cracks, that's reason enough to pause, shut it down, and decide how you do it the right way.
It's cruel.
Yeah, cruel. The cruelty is, you just said it's cruel, Joy, and the cruelty seems to me to be the point.
Yeah.
And when you ask the question, is this what people voted for? Yeah, I do think so. I think people thought, it's not going to happen to me or mine. That's what I think. You know, it's okay for it to happen to your neighbor. It's okay to happen to that other person. But now that it's happening to American citizens, naturalized citizens, people with green cards, people that are legally here, people's sisters, brothers, sister-in-laws, now I think people are thinking, oh, but I didn't vote for that. I didn't vote for my family to be hurt. And it's a lack of empathy in this country. It is a lack of empathy.
Well,
the thing is
they could make phone
that
calls.
if the United States has an agreement with, let's say, El Salvador to house people, right? They're paying El Salvador.
Yes, what Trump is doing should be appreciated by everyone, but calculating The View will never see that. If you keep some of these people behind some Austin house, like they should stay there, this lady would transfer to another location. She won't be able to stay there for a single night because of how dangerous some of these people are. If Trump is doing this, struggling to remove these people behind your neighborhood, and you don't appreciate it, then you are ungrateful. Yes. Talking about American citizens, so you should be someone committing crimes here and there. Then we have where we can keep you, to correct you, to be a better person. We can take you there. I'm just asking a question because these people seem not to be understanding what is even happening. As of this case, I believe you heard Pam Bondi making it clear. They have the record, they have everything. Everything she's saying here is there. They have reasons to rethink about this guy. Yeah, so what else can you tell me? If the guy was in nonsense, like Joe Rogan said here, it's a different situation. I could have looked into it, but now the guy was an illegal. You know, this is exactly what Trump administration is doing right now. So you will understand. And more to that, the guy was committing crimes. If you see videos after this, That is just for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you, and please share the video.
Under the Alien Registration Act is today. All foreign nationals present in the United States longer than 30 days must register with the federal government. Failure to comply with this is a crime, punishable by fines, imprisonment, or both.
Has said in the case of this Mahmoud Khalil, he's the Columbia University Hamas-loving activist, not my politics by a long shot. He's for the destruction of Western civilization, in his words, just to give you where he's at. Okay. As you know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President.
Like, yes, the Supreme Court said Nazis could march in Skokie, Illinois, a town full of Holocaust survivors. I mean, that's the bar that we have.
Generally called insider trading, and that would ordinarily...
I know better than anybody. Forget about the economists who know better. Forget about people who know history. I alone can fix it.
Have a great day, everyone. Take a little time to enjoy the view. And remember, the resistance is real. You're not alone.
Has anyone else noticed how women on the left are the most miserable group of people? So
Harris is not president. Trump is. And if you don't like him, folks...
Starting on...
Wish the common
and a lot of people who didn't vote.
And finally, new rule to those on the right.
Isn't exactly getting the hero's welcome.
That the Americans finally realized what the reality was.
This is a Fox News alert, a crushing blow for Democrats who had hoped against hope.
Brad Schimmel, that has included Elon Musk pouring tens of millions of dollars.
I think you saw a repudiation of the fact that...
Do you think the Republican takeaways tonight are going to...
The margin right now, Randy Fine...
Everybody, he had never been...
It would be hard to think of a more elegant way.
I don't know if you know this, but the Obama...